Thank you, and welcome to the Bhagavad-Gita class. Today we're reading from chapter 9, entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge. And I'm doing 924. So we'll start with the invocation prayers. Om Gana Timarandasha, Gana Gana Salakaya, Taksvamali Tamyena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam, Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swarupa Parapadam, Pamayam, Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru, Shri Yuta Parakamalam, Shri Gurum, Vaisnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Savadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Vada Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Pare Vanta Kalpyastu Bischa Kripa Sindhu Be'eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasiri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, chapter 9, text 24. Aham hi sarva yagyanam bhokta cha papa eva cha Natumam abhijananti tadvinatas chayavanti te. Word for word. Aham, I. He, surely. Sarva, of all. Yagyanam, sacrifices. Bhokta, the enjoyer. Cha, and. Prabhu, the Lord. Eva, also. Cha, and. Na, not. To, but. Mam, me. Abhijananti, they know. Tatvena, in reality. Ataha, therefore. Chaivanti, fall down. Te, they. Translation and purports by His Very Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Srila Prabhupada. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Here it is clearly stated that there are many types of yajna performances recommended in the Vedic literatures, but actually, all of them are meant for satisfying the Supreme Lord. Yajna means Vishnu. In the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, it is clearly stated that one should only work for satisfying yajna or Vishnu. The perfectional form of human civilization, known as Varnashram Dharma, is specifically meant for satisfying Vishnu. Therefore, Krishna says in this verse, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices because I am the Supreme Master. Less intelligent persons, however, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefit. Therefore, they fall down to material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. If, however, anyone has any material desire to be fulfilled, he had better pray for it to the Supreme Lord, although that is not pure devotion, and he will thus achieve the desired result. Mukum Korchivatalam, Pangam Lagaya Tegirim, Yakipa Tambande, Sri Guru Dena Taranam. So, even though it's a short purport, there are a lot of points in here that I'd like to try to bring out. Okay, so in here, he's in the first sentence. It is said here by Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, there are many types of yagna performances recommended in the Vedic literatures, but actually all of them are meant for satisfying the Supreme Lord. So this following of the Vedic rituals and the Vedic instructions, this is recommended for those who are not in Krishna consciousness or they're not engaged in devotional service. So the Vedas are giving instructions, guidance, and injunctions on what they should do and what they shouldn't do. So the directions in the Vedas are actually manifested from the breathing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you can find this in Bhagavad-Gita 3:15. So the injunctions should be followed because there are no defects in it. We know that all the living entities, all the jivas, have 4 defects, and it's making mistakes. They're in illusion, cheating, and imperfect senses. So there's no way that anyone in the material world can give you instructions on how to lead your life in a way that you can go back to Godhead. So, so these injunctions should be followed. And they're given to the living entities according to their different material qualities of the persons concerned. The different types of yagnas are recommended by the Vedas, and it depends on, what mode of material nature they're in. And we can all see that in this material world, everybody wants a materialistic persons, and they think that religion is meant to increase your prosperity. To give you more material facility, to make you comfortable in this world. We can see in different religions. I know, I was following the Christian religion in some way, and most of it was about, prosperity. And Prabhupada mentions how, they're asking, please provide bread, give me, So why they should ask? Krishna is providing for everybody on this earth, the birds, the bees, and the human being. So there's no need to go and ask Krishna for anything because he put us here, but he made all facility available to take care of his living entities. But people want more. No, it's not about simple living and high thinking. It's about how can I get more? How can I increase my wealth? How can I increase the material assets that I have? So this is what the world is about. That's one of the problems. People are fighting about one thing. If one neighbor has a new car, then the next door neighbor is envious and saying, well, I need a new car as well, or I have to get a bigger house, or a bigger car than the neighbors. We can see that goes on in this world. So, and one thing is that Prabhupada said that their minds are distorted by material desires. Now, he uses this word distorted, which I really liked. I looked it up, and one thing I found about Srila Prabhupada, in his purports, he knows the exact word to use. There's no need to change. He knows exactly what he's saying. Because every time a word comes up that I think, let me look it up, he's right on target with what it means. And so distorted means that it's twisted. The ability to think about what you actually need for human life and who you actually are, who is the real self, is twisted. They don't know. They don't know, you know. So they think that all of these things, other things, these external things are going to make me happy. So, and in chapter 4, 431 and 32, in the purport, Prabhupada is saying that the human form of life is the only loophole by which one can get out of this entanglement, this sinful life of material existence. So loophole, I looked that up as well. Loophole is like, you're evading a rule without breaking it, you know. So it's like, I was thinking about this. You should just worship Krishna only, but they don't want to. So Krishna is trying to bring all the living entities to at least the standard of human being, because now everybody's animals. You know, they have animal behavior. They're doing exactly what the animals do: sleep, mate, eat, and defend. And that's animal life. And so this human form of life that we've been given is very, very precious. You know, so therefore the Vedas, you know, are giving the living entities a chance to escape. And I remember my Guru Maharaj always used to talk about the great escape. Leaving the body is a great escape. Escape out of this material existence. You know? So in the Vedas, it's pointed out about the path of religion: economics, economic comfort, regulated sense gratification, and then actually in the end, it means, you know, to get out of this miserable material condition. Dukkhalayam asasvatam, miserable. But everybody thinks it's okay. It's not that bad. I can, you know, as long as I get the things I need, I can be comfortable here. But Prabhupada said, no, you cannot be comfortable here. He always calls this a storehouse. You go, do your business, and you leave. You get out, you know. But people want to stay, you know, and you know, get all the material facilities. And this process, you know, is, you know, for the living entities, they have to work. Everybody has to work. So if you have to work, better you work for Vishnu. You sacrifice for Vishnu. Otherwise, any work you do is going to bound you tighter and tighter in this material world, and you have to go through the whole samsara again and again and again. No, we have to keep going. So you should, you know, like, at least, if you can, follow instructions in the Vedas. But then, conversely, because this is the age of Kali Yuga, who can actually follow all the injunctions in the Vedas? Who can actually follow specifically? You know, it's the age of Kali. You have to follow all the rules and regulations and the Vedic rituals. And by the common man, who can actually do that? No, it's not possible to study all the Vedantas, Upanishads thoroughly, because who has the time? Everybody's working, like Prabhupada said, like sannyas. Everybody's working 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day. And it requires much time, energy, knowledge, and resources. So actually, what's given to us in this age is the Maha Mantra: Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And even that is sometimes difficult, just to train the mind to chant. Just sit down and chant. But still, it's difficult sometimes. We have difficulty, you know. But at least we have the mantra. It's been given to us by our spiritual master. So Krishna's kind. He can see that we're trying. Okay? So the second point I wanted to talk about was, he also says the perfectional form of human civilization known as Varnashram Dharma is specifically meant for satisfying Vishnu. So this, I won't go into a big, long discussion about Varnashram Dharma because that's been discussed within our organization ad infinitum. And Prabhupada was supposed to be coming, I think, trying to come to Gita Nagari to help show that side of living, high thinking and simple living and high thinking. So, actually, Varnashram Dharma is the perfectional form of human civilization. It's described as a stepping stone for spiritual understanding, you know. So human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashram Dharma, or specific duties. Specific duties is called Swardharma. So there's specific duties like for the Satriya, for the Brahmins, for the Satriyas, for the Vaishyas, and for the Sudras. So Varna is the ones I just mentioned, and your ashram is Brahmana, Grihastha, Vanapras, and Sannyas. So that's Varnashram Dharma. So this system is created for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. You know, we know, if we've been in the movement sometime, everybody's not at the same consciousness. So this system is for gradual development of the consciousness of the human being who takes advantage of it. It's a system for the gradual development of your Krishna consciousness. But also, I have to say that devotional service transcends this system. It transcends all the rituals of Varnashram. So every living entity who's under the influence of material nature has a particular type of body and a particular type of psychological and biological activity accordingly. And the four classes of men function differently in the three modes of material nature. Okay, so I just put that in a nutshell because that topic could take several days and a workshop to discuss actually what's happening in terms of Varnashram Dharma and whether ISKCON is implementing or can implement. I know there are some gurus, who are speaking about it. And the farm communities are supposed to be there to help develop this. And in this time, we can see that whatever's happening in the material world, it would be very beneficial to be able to grow your own food. To have land where you can grow your own food and you can, sustain your living and you can live simply, but you can. I was living on the farm, Gitanagari farm, for 15 years. And I didn't know anything that was going on outside. We didn't have facility for using computer or hearing, especially now with the cell phones. Oh my God. Everybody has access to news around the world. And my personal feeling is that the cell phones are very, very addictive. Nobody can put it down. They carry it with them all the time, And so that means that vibration, even though we devotees do use it for devotional activities, but still, even when you do that, if you pay attention, you can see sometimes things get interrupted. There's advertisements, there's so many things on there that can distract you. And so now you can't even talk to people hardly. You have to call them out of it because so that information is more readily available than when I was coming up in devotional service. So we were so busy 24/7 that we didn't know what was happening. The world could have blown up. I don't think we would have known. We were because during that time, too, on the farm particularly, there weren't a lot of devotees there. Nobody really, they may stay for a short time, but hardly anybody really wanted to stay on a farm, because what happens is you have to become internal. You have to really, it makes you kind of examine yourself, look at yourself, see how you're progressing in devotional service, because you're on 24/7 almost, from 4 o'clock in the morning, or maybe 3 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. So you're completely focused on serving the deities, or we at that time we weren't doing a whole lot of farming. There was some, but mostly it was trying to maintain and take care of the deities. So you did whatever was necessary on the farm. So so I was speaking about Varnashram Dharma, like the farms. That's what they're for. And in this day and age, it would be nice to have more farms where the devotees can go. Because if you look at Kali Yuga, it's not going to get any better. It's getting worse, actually. You can see, of course, that's the progression. Kali Yuga means going downhill fast. Although we are definitely under protection of Krishna. Krishna is our protector. So then, so therefore Krishna says in this verse, I am the enjoyer. In fact, in this translation he says, I'm the only enjoyer. So the living entities can only enjoy and be happy if Krishna is happy. We've all had the experience. If we do something for Krishna with our heart, and we want to do something, we have a desire to do something, things start coming into place because Krishna wants to facilitate us in serving him. And when we do that, we become happy. We become happy. As Krishna is happy, we become happy. So we know that verse, Bhoktaram yagna tapasham sarvaloka maheshwaram. Suridam sarvabhutanam yapa mam santim rachate. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Krishna is called the Supreme Master because everyone is under his order. There's no one who's not under his order. The demigods are under his order. And no one is above him or over him. He is the infallible master in all circumstances. And he says in 726, he's talking to Arjuna, he says, as the Supreme Person of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that's happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. And we know also that Krishna and Arjuna had this conversation about Krishna was telling Arjuna that I can remember everything, but you cannot, because, as it said here, Krishna, he's not born, nor does he die, So he remembers everything. He knows what's happening in every living entity's body, but we cannot. I cannot know what's happening with you unless I talk to you personally and you reveal to me. It's the same. Unless, there's some communication, there's no way we're going to know what's happening with anybody. And sometimes we just make assumptions and we're totally wrong, about a person. But Krishna, also I keep going back to this, but this one really struck me, is in the introduction, Krishna says, I follow the psychic movements of every living entity. So there's nothing we can hide from him. He sees all. He knows all. He knows what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. And sometimes people say, well, if he knows what I'm going to do, then why does he stop me from doing it, or, make me love him. But what is forced love? It's paltry. Who wants it? Nobody wants, to force somebody to love you. He gives you the free will. It's your choice. You can love him or not love him. It's up to the living entities. And we see that the majority of people in the world, they choose not to because they want to be God. They're envious of Krishna and Krishna's position. So, also in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Adi Leela confirms Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ada Sabha. Only Krishna is God, and everyone else is his servant. Everyone is complying with his order. So we should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. And simple surrender saves us our valuable time from unnecessary wasting time. Why waste time to go around and around and around and around? Or, become like yogis, Gyan yogi, or, Jnana yogi, That's just wasting time because there's no guarantee that you're going to reach the goal. You may reach the goal, you may not reach the goal. And so the demigods are the supplying agents. So Arjuna says to Krishna in 12, Bhagavad-Gita 12, you are the Supreme Person of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages, such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyas, confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. And throughout the Gita, Krishna establishes himself as the Supreme Person of Godhead. And even though he establishes himself as the Supreme Person of Godhead in the Bhagavad-Gita, there's still scholars and speculators who read the Gita and come out with something totally different. They don't ever come out saying Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead, and no devotees were made from these writings of the Bhagavad-Gita. Only Srila Prabhupada, who gave Bhagavad-Gita as it is, to proclaim that Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead, no one else. And we should worship him. And the Lord himself, he establishes, he says, he is accepted as such in the Brahma Samhita, and that's in text 1, Ishvara Parama Krishna Saksidananda Viguraha Anandir Adin Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He's the origin of all. There has no other origin, and he's the prime cause of all causes. And in the Puranas, especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. So in the Bhagavad Gita, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has established himself as the supreme. So why do people go to the demigods? Just for some temporary fruits, which are very limited. And you can't take it with you. People amass so much money and so many material things, but when they leave here, they didn't come with it, and they can't leave with it. But they just think they want to enjoy while they're in the material world, So, and we can see in the lives of the demigods, they're also in the material world. They're on a higher level, but they're in the material. What can they? Material world. They, it's skipping me, but Ravana thought he was going to live forever. Hiranyakasipu asked Brahma to make me live forever. But Brahma said, I don't live forever. How can I make you live forever? I don't live forever. And something came into my memory. I don't know where I heard it, but it was a long time ago. Someone, I remember, was giving class and said that the demigods know when it's time for them to leave, when they leave the bodies, because their garlands start deteriorating. Isn't it? Did you hear that? Yeah, their garlands start deteriorating. That the way they know, okay, it's time for me to go. So we can see when we look through the scriptures, so many times, look at Brahma, Lord Indra, Lord Shiva, although he has his separate tattva, the devotee talked about that last night in the Gita class. One thing, the story about when Lord Shiva was chasing Mohini, he asked the Lord to please show me your Mohini form. And Lord Shiva completely lost it. You know, when he saw Mohini, he lost it so much that nothing else mattered, you know, whether he was embarrassed or not embarrassed. But what happened was, at the end of it, he was so happy. He was happy that his Lord and Master had, you know, conquered him, had shown him, you know, I can fool you as well, Lord Shiva, you know. But Lord Shiva was happy. He was like, that's my Lord. I'm so happy that he did this, you know. And look at Lord Brahma, the V. Mohan Lila, you know, when he stole the cowherd boys, you know, because he had a doubt about that little boy who was sitting in the circle with his cowherd friends, eating from their hands, you know, and so he also got bewildered, you know. And Lord Indra, we know what happened with him when he had that rain, the destructive rain falling on Krishna's village in Vrindavan. So, but they are in charge. In fact, parts of our body are made operable by the demigods, you know. So we have no control over anything. And actually, and the demigods, what's also good is that the demigods, they go, whenever there's a difficulty, whenever they're having problems, the first person they run to is the Lord. They run to the Lord for help. Please help me. But the living entities on the earth are so foolish. They don't know where to go, and they don't want to go. You know? So why should the living entity ask the demigods? And also there's another pastime with Lord Shiva when he gave a boon to Vikrasura. Was that his name? Vritrasura. Vritrasura wanted the boon of being able to touch someone's head and it crack open. And so he started, after he got the boon from Lord Shiva, then he started running after Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva had to go to the Lord. So the demigods are worshipable in the fact that they go to the Lord for everything. And they run the universe. And we have to honor them too. So so these people who go to the demigods, they're called less intelligent. Their intelligence is stolen by material desires. They get blinded by the glitter of gold. So in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10, akama sava kama va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti-yoga yajita purusam param. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation must by all means worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Whole, the Personality of Godhead. And I was reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, it was 2. So here are some of the different demigods. It's in there, it outlines some of the different demigods and who you can go to for what you want. It's like, okay, whatever benedictions, they're all there. It's like, who do you pray for obtaining your specific desire? So if you want money, the desires are innumerable. They're innumerable. Money, good fortune, power, to be a hero, going to heavenly planets, worldly kingdom, popularity, long span of life, strongly built body, beauty, desiring a good wife, dominion over others, a good bank balance, greatly learned, good marital relationships, powerful sex, good progeny, victory over an enemy, even to be absorbed in the impersonal Brahmajyoti. And it said you can pray to Lord Brahma or Brihaspati, the learned priest. But for us, we want to aspire for doing devotional service with no motive. We want to give service. In fact, Gauranga Prabhu, if you heard in this class, he gave a class this morning. It was a very nice class. I don't know if all of you were there, but it was very nice. And he talked about how the Vrajavasis, they just want to please Krishna. They don't want anything for themselves. They just want Krishna to be happy. That's all. They don't ask for anything. They don't want anything. They don't even know that he's the Supreme Person of Godhead. They just want to know that he's their little Krishna. That's all. So, but one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Person of Godhead. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Any questions, any corrections, any criticisms, whatever you want to offer, please do.
Actually, what was it that you said that our bodies, the demigods,
they're
something like that?
Yeah, they operate some of the functions of our body. They operate some of the functions of our body. Yes. All of them.
Yeah.
Jai, thank you.
We can only desire. The body actually works because the demigods make it work.
They make it Jai.
But we just go to Radha Shamsun that
We go to Radha Shamsun. The demigods are servants of Krishna. So if we serve Krishna, the demigods are happy. And they will help look after us.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Nice example Prabhupada gives for the tree. When you water
The roots, yes.
so automatically each and every twigs and the leaves are watered.
Yes.
No need to, that's a very nice example.
Yes.
Also.
Thank
you. I have a small question. In this particular verse, the word is used tatvena, in reality.
Mm-hmm.
Tatvena was chavantite.
Mm-hmm. In reality.
Yeah, in reality. And in Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna has used this word many times. For example, in 4.9 also it says Jalm Karm Chay Mediyam Evam Yogeti Tattva. Again by Tattva.
Yes.
So in a broad guideline for a layman purpose, how they understand in reality the Krishna's position. We know that in the Shastra so many things, but for a layman person, how does he understand this word real meaning?
Well,
Can you add, Mother?
to understand Krishna, Tatvataha, means to understand that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, the common people just think of Krishna as some historical
Yes.
personality who was very powerful, who could have They don't actually think about it. They don't meditate deeply on it. He lifted it up so well.
Many people, when they come from the Shastras, this word they go very deep in the meaning. But that doesn't help the common person. But you should very right that the first thing is we should understand that that to accept that part itself for a common man is very difficult.
Yeah, it won't happen until we take up this process and start chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and get some purification.
Yes.
Otherwise, we will never understand.
Thank you.
That's why we're in the Sankirtan movement. First, give the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and then afterwards, the philosophy will be understandable.
Yes, because what did we understand before we came to the movement? Nothing. Nothing. Nada. I know for me. Yeah. We didn't know. Oh, I can think about it. Nothing. I knew nothing.
And we don't get answers also from outside unless we come.
Spiritual master is the one. You have to take shelter of the spiritual master. He's the one that reveals everything to you. To the extent that you surrender unto him, he imparts knowledge unto you. Yes, we have to take. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. And so Krishna is the supreme reality.
In material science, Tattva is called element. Element means one is iron, the other is silver, and third is gold. You can't make iron as gold. Similarly, in spiritual science, Lord said, I am a separate element and Jiva is separate element. Maya is a separate element. But I am supreme. No can be Lord Krishna.
Right. But as living entities, as part and parcel, I've heard Prabhupada said we're insignificant, but it's just like you take a drop of water out of the ocean. Krishna is the ocean, but if you take the drop, all the elements are there. And it's the same for us, but we are infinitesimal. Okay? Small. Krishna is the ocean, so we just need to jump in.
I have just one question.
Yes.
I don't remember, I was reading some text from, I was reading Bhagavad-Gita before I came here. So in that Sri Bhagavan Ovacha, so Shri Krishna says that as long as the living entities try to make their homes and everything comfortable, like living, you have to take another birth, then this continues. So, we as devotees, as far as at least myself, I try to make myself like comfortable. So that is sense gratification, yes?
Krishna doesn't say that we have to be uncomfortable. As long as we're offering everything as an offering to Krishna, whether we make our home. When we have deities in our home becomes a temple. So that's offering as a sacrifice to Krishna. And we are making it comfortable for him. And we actually become, comfortable in the place where we are.
No, like for today, I was thinking like summer is coming and it's going to be hot. And before I could think of my Giriraji, I'm so selfish. I was thinking about myself. And then I'm thinking about Bhagwan. So that is my I'm so selfish in sense.
Well, Krishna doesn't condemn, right? He doesn't condemn.
You need to keep yourself healthy.
Yes.
Physically and mentally in order to serve Krishna. So if you're even mentally distressed because it's too hot and you can't think, then you can't serve Krishna.
Yes.
So some amount of comfort
has to be
in
there.
order to maintain your body mentally and physically and spiritually is okay.
Yes.
Because we can offer to Krishna.
But still, there is like, thinking about myself. That's not pure devotion.
The residents of Goloka Vrindavan, they don't give one single thought to themselves. They think only of Krishna. But we don't have to pretend we're on that level we want to be.
We
That's
don't-
the ideal.
Yeah.
We work towards it.
But we can't pretend. We just have to be who we are. Like I can't function if it's so hot in the room. How can I serve my deities? How can I serve my Lord if I'm sweating and I just can't function? I have to lay down and, So Krishna is kind. He knows where all of us are. He's kind. As long as you're trying to serve him. Prabhupada said health, then service. Health and service. Okay? Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.